Hey guys, Martha Krejci here, and I am here with Danelle Fowler, who I love, love, love. You guys, what we're talking about is we all wrote a book together, right? And it's called The Invincible Family Project, and it's a bunch of families that are rewriting the narrative for what creating income from home can look like, what doing life all together can look like, what isn't okay for us and what we choose instead. And so there's a lot of really interesting stories about people just getting creative with creating a new life for themselves and their families. And so we're going to talk about Danelles Chapter today. So thank you for coming on, Danelle. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're
I'm
going to
so
have
happy to be
fun.
here. Yes,
Yeah. Well, Danelle, what I want to do here is I want to talk about your chapter. And so can you explain to people, like at the beginning of your chapter, where you were at so they can understand, where you were at the beginning of your chapter?
absolutely. I was in mass chaos, honestly. I was in a job that I had been in for 16 years that in the beginning served my family very well. It was a great job, but it was really stressful. And I did work my way up through the ladder. So I ended up at the top of where I could be as a chief deputy in my office. And it didn't matter what I did, I wasn't happy. I just couldn't find happiness in that job. And realizing that it took a while, but I realized eventually that I was not aligned in my purpose. So it was causing all this chaos inside. And really, it took therapy to get me through that and then finding you. So it was just one of those things that everything fell into place. So that's where I was in chaos.
Yeah. Well, tell us I kind of want to dig down a little bit for people because people may hear chaos and they might be like, okay, chaos in general term. What did it feel like? Okay, so let's just any one day where it was the worst, whenever you had to get up and go to work in the morning, what did you feel like? Like, what was a day like for you?
Absolutely. And as you heard me say, I was in therapy.
Yeah.
So and really I ended up there thinking that I was going in for test anxiety and realizing that my environment was really creating that anxiety. And it was getting so severe that I was having to escape my office to go to like the bathroom to get 5 minutes to just regain a normal breathing pattern or just to even just get my mind back in place. And at that time, I probably would have said that most of it was the people I was around, but realizing now that I'm out of it, it really wasn't. It was within me too. So it was a combination of just that constant friction between not being aligned with the people I was with because they didn't get me.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Even though I loved the work, it was still just a very stressful, anxiety ridden environment for me.
Oh,
So I was
man.
in tears a lot.
I I imagine there are people watching this that are in that position right now that are just, and it may not even be as bad as that, and it may be worse, right? Like they might be watching and they're just feeling like, I imagine like just feeling like a failure on some level day to day. Not like that you're failing life, but that you're just like there's something else for you and you can't see it because you're just so distraught by your current situation, right? Like I feel
Right.
like that happens to people on the regular, and that's what I hear whenever you're talking. It's just because now things are very, very different for you on the other side of that. But I wonder if you could have even, that's a question for you. Could you even, where you're at right now, could you even imagine that that was where you were going to be just, a couple or a few years from then?
No, it really wasn't because I was so ridden with fear that I couldn't allow myself to even think beyond where I was because I was stuck in that I need to be here because of the insurance. This is a good job. I I can't replace this job. Even and I went out and looked. It was like, can I replace my income if I leave? And I couldn't.
Ah,
So that held me there. Well, my husband was actually for 5 years begging me to make a change that I was not quite ready to make in my mind. So it took
Wow.
that process. I was in therapy for 10. It took 5 years of him actually speaking to me about making that jump. And then when the things came into place where I could see that there were other options, even then I wasn't able to see what my life could be
Yeah.
because I was just in that beginning of stage and that fear was just gripping in all of those areas.
Yeah. Well, let's start walking down the path. So the people that are there that are like, I completely relate, sister, like those people that are there right now, let's start walking down the path. What were some of the changes you started making in your life that,
Mhm.
that led you to where you are, like going through the chapter of your book? Because I know you lay it out in the chapter, but what are some of the first few steps that you made?
Absolutely. I The first step really was, which was kind of unusual, but I through my therapist is where I was where my first step happened. Was just really getting my mind right there. But then talking to her in the ways that my was about my dreams, I was able then she was an acquaintance of you, so I was able to then start following what you were about and then realizing that it fit into one of my needs. And as I really jumped into that in the background, I was getting more comfortable, but also allowing my brain to just really catch up to where I wanted to be versus the fear that was keeping me in the place that I was.
Yeah.
So it was just really baby steps of walking through, okay, what do I need to do to actually, because I say I, wasn't aligned. So
Mhm.
what do I need to do to get aligned? And what did that really even mean? So the therapy helped with that part of it, but then all of the things that I was finding with you was helping with the actual steps for the future
Yeah.
because that's what I was working into based on the alignment part of being who I was and where I wanted to be to serve in from the heart and really just live in that passion.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm just going to ask this because I'm totally curious and I've never asked you this before. Um, what made you want to do like so I think the first thing that you ever came to of mine was like in 2016, right?
hmm
What made you do that? What made you even go to that event?
It was really knowing you had laid out very clearly the steps of what you were going to be teaching.
Yeah.
And it was because the entrepreneurship is in my heart. It's just even when I was a little girl, those little highlighters that they talk about, that was me being that person that I dreamt of being.
Yeah.
And so the processes and steps were really super important to me. And that was really laid out clearly in what you were offering in that event. And it was really just getting started in setting up your business.
Yeah.
So that is what really attracted me to it was that I felt like I was going to get a beginning to an end. Here's what you do. Now you need this. This is your foundation, those sorts of things. So it
Yeah.
was really a very clear direction for me to say that's what I need and I'm
Oh,
going to do
that's
it.
great.
And I did it VIP.
You did do it VIP. Yeah. So you were like one of the first VIP people at that event.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Well, you guys, if you were experiencing what Danelle was talking about at the beginning, like if you're experiencing being at work and really just not feeling fulfilled, and even from a dramatic space of not just not feeling fulfilled, but feeling almost emotionally abused. And I'm not saying anybody was abusing her on purpose, but I'm saying we experience sort of like this emotional abuse whenever we're in situations that don't serve us. Like it just kind of happens, right? And so if you're feeling like you're in that space, I definitely suggest picking up the book. And the link for the book is in the description of this video, but read Danelles Chapter, see how life changed for her, see what happened. And then what I'm a big fan of is success leaves clues, right? And so you're able to see from somebody else's life, oh, I could have this too. This other real life person, right, that isn't an actor or whatever, has done this thing. This is how they've done it. They started out where I started out. This all makes sense to me. That is what this book is all about, guys. So thank you, Danelle, for coming on with me. I totally appreciate it. And you guys, if you feel like this is you, or if you feel like you have friends that you see in this story, please share the video. Friends help friends get better, okay? So thank you, everybody, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.